Hello, welcome to Fair Housing and You. I'm Tara Alderete, Director of Enterprise Learning at Money Management International, a full-service nonprofit credit counseling and housing organization. Fair housing is an important topic. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, there are some essential things to know about your housing rights. Fair housing is the right of all people to be free from illegal discrimination in the rental, sale, or financing of housing. In fact, the Fair Housing Act was signed into law in 1968 and has been amended since to protect additional groups of people. Today, there are 7 classes protected under the Fair Housing Act. Let's take a closer look. The first protected class is race. Discrimination is prohibited against any race. Discrimination is also prohibited on the basis of religion or lack thereof. The next protected class is color. This includes the lightness or darkness or other color characteristics of a person. Discrimination can also not occur based on national origin, which is the country where a person or their ancestors were born. Sexual harassment and treating people differently based on their sex is also prohibited. Familial status prohibits denial of housing to families with children, as well as imposing special requirements or conditions on tenants who have custody of children. The final protected class is disability, including people with both physical or mental disabilities or impairments. Discrimination can come in many forms, and the Fair Housing Act outlines major prohibited practices, or things that cannot occur based on a protected class. Those practices include refusal to sell, rent, or negotiate, setting different terms, conditions, or privileges in services or facilities, and producing discriminatory marketing or advertising. The Fair Housing Act also makes it illegal to discriminate at any stage of the mortgage process, or to threaten, intimidate, coerce, or retaliate against someone exercising their fair housing rights. The most typical fair housing complaints are related to disability, and additional prohibited practices apply to that class. First, reasonable structural modifications must be allowed to existing premises for persons with disabilities. Reasonable accommodations must also be allowed to change rules, policies, practices, or services, so someone with a disability has equal opportunity to enjoy the space. And design and construction requirements mean that certain features, like reinforced walls and wide pathways, must be present. When asking for accommodation, make the request in writing so you can keep copies and records. Be sure to state you are a person with a disability. Describe the accommodation you seek clearly and concisely, and ask for a written response within a specific amount of time. The Fair Housing Act also applies to lending, as in the case of mortgages. This is known as fair lending, and it prohibits lenders from considering a protected class when someone applies for a mortgage. There are also income rules. Lenders must consider reliable public assistance income, as well as income from part-time employment, Social Security, disability, pensions, annuities, alimony, child support, or separate maintenance payments. And they have to accept someone other than your spouse as a cosigner if one is needed. Lending discrimination can be subtle or blatant. It can occur in the marketing of mortgage loan products, mortgage loan transactions, terms and conditions of the loan, in the appraisal of a home, and in loan servicing. For an issue to be considered illegal discrimination, it must include a prohibited practice and a protected class. All aggrieved persons have the right to file a federal fair housing complaint, whether or not they are a U.S. citizen, but complaints should be filed within a year of occurring. There are 3 ways to file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Online at hud.gov, by mail or email using a downloadable form, and by phone. If you need help filing a complaint, contact a nonprofit fair housing or FIP agency. In fair housing assistance programs or FAP agencies, can help with enforcing additional fair housing protections like sexual orientation, gender identity, source of income, and marital status. You can find both FIP and FAP agencies near you on the HUD.gov website. When possible discrimination is reported, HUD will mediate throughout the process. First, an intake process occurs to confirm a formal complaint can be filed under an enforced law. Then, an investigation occurs. At any time, the complaint can be resolved if both parties agree. And if appropriate, legal action will be taken to enforce the law. Everyone has the right to fair housing options, and the Federal Fair Housing Act is in place to ensure we all receive the housing protections we deserve. To learn more about fair housing, visit the Department of Housing and Urban Development at HUD.gov or check out MMI's full fair housing educational series at learn.mmiuniversity.org. And finally, for more financial wellness topics or to schedule a counseling session, visit us online at moneymanagement.org today.